Hey everybody, welcome to day 43 of my mental health journey. For those of you who aren't aware, essentially I document my day-to-day ups and downs with mental health, mainly anxiety, just with the hope of sharing my stories and connecting with people who might be going through similar things, as well as using this as a platform for people for whom I can't speak to share their stories and hopefully connect with other folks who can relate to them. So that being said, today I want to talk about something that I can't believe it's been 43 days it's taken me to talk about this, but I just want to talk about how I believe social media and whatnot affects my health. And I just went on a run, and I'm pretty sure I've worn this shirt in like at least 15 of these videos, and on top of that, I probably should have shaved, but I know I look like shit, but I also just don't give a shit. I just felt like this kind of popped into my head and I wanted to talk about it. So my relationship with social media is an interesting one. For example, I love Instagram. I love being able to post pictures. I think documenting stuff via pictures and videos has been something that I've been interested in far longer than IG has existed. And I think when I found Instagram, it was like, wow, this is the form of social media where I can actually post stuff that I already enjoyed doing, but now I can just share them and hopefully someone else can enjoy it. I never understood initially kind of how Instagram could be kind of a divisive thing, specifically with the comments. I, like anybody else, is liable to sometimes go down that comment hole. And short of the matter, you can leave those situations feeling a lot worse about yourself or maybe humanity or about certain groups of people and whatnot. I'm not necessarily going to go deep into that. However, I've realized that a lot of times that stuff is just like an echo chamber too. So it's like you might agree with somebody, but I think it's never good to only be around people that think the same stuff. And I think social media is like the ultimate echo chamber because you can kind of choose what groups you go into, and then everybody's kind of just, saying the same stuff. And it's one thing if it's positive, like in my opinion, and I think objectively it is a good thing that, groups of maybe Black women, for example, get together and they empower each other and talk to each other about the stuff that they've been through, whether it be like workplace discrimination with, whether or not they can have their hair worn naturally, or Black men talking about stuff that they've dealt with like law enforcement, or white men talking about, something that like a subset of white men go through, or women. Like, it doesn't matter. I think it should be all inclusive, but at the same time, people should understand that certain groups of people only go through certain stuff. So I enjoy that kind of aspect of it when it's positive and it's uplifting. But a lot of times recently, I've just seen like, somebody post something about a Black woman or a Black guy or a white person that's supportive of BLM or something. It's like, I'm unfollowing this for promoting terrorism or division. These divisions existed before all of this stuff happened. It's just been more highlighted on social media. And while I think it's positive that it's getting highlighted, you're also inundated with ignorant people saying negative stuff about people trying to positively portray themselves. And I don't know. I saw this one thing where basically somebody said that as succinctly as I can put it, that Breonna Taylor deserved to die because she was like helping her boyfriend funnel drugs or something, which even if she were, which I just is complete BS because both of them had no drug records. It's just like really painful to see other humans justifying the deaths of others, or, in like such a hypocritical way. And it just makes me feel low sometimes. Like, how the hell, like, how do we come to this? Like, in some parts of like 2020, I feel like humanity is moving really far. But the problem is with any sort of like progress, there's going to be the extremely reactionary groups too that, want to pull everything all the way back. And just reading the comments between different groups of people and stuff that like, I joined social media like that because I thought it was just awesome to share pictures. And I love seeing pictures of people traveling or sharing cool cultural stuff, language, or the food that they make, or the clothing they wear. I think that was what drew me to Instagram initially, just all of that awesome stuff. But I just did not know that it would come with all the negative stuff, because, there had been Facebook and everything, but before that, like, the only people I was connected with on Facebook were like people in my high school. So the worst stuff you would see was some, cat fight between two girls, or some argument between two dudes that aren't going to do shit to each other, but they're talking about how they're going to, beat the hell out of each other at the same time to, look cool and everything. And like, that was all fun and games and everything. But like, once it starts to get to the point where you're seeing like people pray for death, or justifying death, or making extremely base statements about everybody from a particular demographic or background or what have you, like, it definitely started to affect my mental health. Like, there was another one I saw today where like a black woman was talking about the work that she did like on BLM, and there's a lot of white women just shaming her about being fat, or like, her hair or something. It's like, how, like, you're trying to dehumanize this person, but you are showing your lack of humanity at the forefront. Like, you're unironically doing that. And it's just like, sometimes I'm just like, do I just delete my Instagram? Like, I know I use it to promote my channel, and this is for Twitter too and everything, but Instagram is kind of my thing. Like, that's what I gravitate towards, and it's what I've gravitated towards ever since like 2012 or something. But sometimes I wonder, like, is it just that bad for my mental health that maybe I should step away? And you can call me a snowflake or whatever, but at the end of the day, like, I don't give a shit about your opinion. So you can keep that to yourself, but if you care to share it, then just know that I'm not listening, and I probably think you're a moron anyway. That being said, I'm probably not going to delete my Instagram, but I need to figure out a way to like stay away from the negativity. Because let's be real, anytime you see a post, a lot of times that like the craziest part about it is going to be the comments. And I'm sorry, I just put my finger in front of the camera again. My arms are getting a little tired and I'm ranting, but this I don't know, this just like kind of came to me. But yeah, I just don't understand like why people can't just empower other people, and think that like empowering people that might not look like you, or focusing on somebody that doesn't look exactly like you, is an affront to you. I don't think that as a white person I'm getting bashed because we're trying to, make sure that black people, minorities, and women get, a more equitable shot at life. Like, the fact of the matter is, there's historical and socioeconomic forces at play. Historical as in like has been over the course of hundreds of years, that have made it so, people are at inherent disadvantages, or it's harder, or, just they don't have the same access to resources. And I don't think that it's a negative thing to talk about that. I think it's important. The same way I think that it's important to talk about, police brutality, or the fact that, individuals in the military, and many people, men, women, or identifying as otherwise, of all races and creeds, etc., have done incredible stuff as far as bravery and selflessness during wars. But every war has had atrocities on both sides be committed. So the fact that we like glorify law enforcement and the military, instead of being able to just talk about the good and the bad that they've done, because at the end of the day they are humans too, and no one's perfect. But like, the fact of the matter is, like, a lot of cops are killing black people. I know they're killing white people too, and they're like, oh my God, like, more white people died. Well, yeah, that does kind of make sense, considering like 70% of this country is white. Like, if more black people were getting killed than white people, there would be no black people at this point, given the proportion. People don't understand what a proportion is. They just look at the raw number when they're not, thinking about the size of the population. Anyway, I just think that we need to be more human and talk about how both sides of the equation, because, at this point, you're one of two sides. You either support Donald Trump or you don't. And unfortunately, that's kind of been tied to like, oh, if they support him, they support the troops and law enforcement. And if they don't, then they're unpatriotic, or, they're falling into the hands of Black Lives Matter or whatever. When in reality, like, it's clearly not that cut and dry. And it's just such a gross simplification of such a complex, centuries long drama that is played out in front of our very eyes. And when these simplifications occur, it just becomes so freaking negative. I almost said the F word. I'm trying to not use the F word. I know I try not to swear at all on this podcast, even though like I would be lying if I said I didn't swear all the time outside of this. But I'm trying to keep this semi PG just because, I'm trying to connect with more people, and I know not everybody's about swearing and being a little more crude and everything. So I'll try to keep it as eloquent as possible. But yeah, this has just kind of been near and dear to my heart recently. People just oversimplifying everything, going on social media, thinking that they have the most important opinion. And this goes for anyone. There's a lot of liberals that I think are absolute morons too, that just have like they just want to like look like they're part of some movement or something, instead of understanding that like it's not a fad to be a part of a movement. Like, this is historical stuff, and like it shouldn't be just a wave that you ride on until it doesn't suit you or it becomes uncomfortable for you. Like, this is historic stuff. So I'm bashing both sides of the equation on this one, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't like a very liberal person, because I am, and I've kind of made that pretty obvious. But when I go on something like National Geographic and they post something of like a Black person being proud of like their heritage, or like, desiring equity and equality, which is not asking for the people like me who are white and men and women, because white women have a ton of advantages too. That's not an affront to us. They're just asking to like level the playing field, which like I have no problems with at all, because at the end of the day, I'm a human being, and I want to show support for my fellow human beings who don't all look like me or worship the same God. I'm not religious at all, but you get what I'm saying. I was raised Catholic and such, which I'm sure a lot of other Christians in this country might have a problem with, but I don't care about religion at all, so you can hate me for that too if you want. But that being said, I'm gonna cut myself a little short, because honestly, I could go into a rant for hours and hours, because I have extensive, time spent studying history from multiple angles, understanding cultures, not only by being bilingual, but also studying other cultures from whom I'd like to learn their language one day. And I can just say that at the end of the day, we're all human. And seeing people dehumanize each other on social media every day is something that just like makes my head explode. And I finally made a comment on Instagram, immediately regretted it, but I'm not going to delete it because it's how I feel. But I just know, if people are so entrenched in their ways that even if you speak reason to them or try to have a civil conversation, at least they're just not going for it. So that being said, I'm just in the future going to be a little more quiet on social media, but I just felt like I needed to kind of get some stuff off my chest. So just talking about not worshiping the military or the police, but, honoring them as far as the epic heroic deeds that individuals in the army or the police force might have done. At the same time, understanding that there are also a lot of people in militaries throughout history, every single military I mentioned, whether it is Alexander the Great's military, whether it was the militias in the Second Congo War, or American troops in Iraq and Afghanistan. Like, nobody's hands are fully clean. An individual might have saved 300 people and done all this stuff, but that doesn't mean somebody in their own platoon or, some other division hasn't done something incredibly malicious and evil. Like, it just is what it is. It's not taking away from the individual accomplishments of an officer or a soldier or anything like that. It's just making it clear that humans go all around the spectrum as far as what kind of actions they exhibit. So there's going to be some soldiers that do amazing things, and there's going to be some soldiers that do incredibly evil things. And that's just what it is. So If you guys feel any type of way about that, feel free to comment. I'd much prefer to have a civil discourse with you, but I'm also about the bullshit because I'm educated about these issues and I'm going to come with facts. So if you're not coming with facts, don't even bother. But I love you guys, and I hope you have a great day. I'm going to post this either today or tomorrow. But until then, I hope you guys have a great start to your week, and just conclude the summer on a great note and hopefully a little more positive than this conversation I just had with the camera.